Hey people of the VC, it's Andy, a cloudy Mulder, finally back with the fifth and final part of my Music Phonations collection. Taking me quite a long time to get around to doing this, for no apparent reason. Um, so we're into the last 20. I've shown everything I've got between catalogue numbers 1 to 80. So this video is going to cover the last 20 catalogues, 81 to 100, of which I have only 8. Now in the other videos where I've got gaps, I've just mentioned briefly what those gaps are, but as there are more gaps in the last 20 than there are ones I have, I don't want to do a video that's talking about records I don't have. I just want to show the ones I do have. So hopefully this will be a bit shorter and sweeter. Now we're into 1988 to 1990 in this period now, and metal isn't at its healthiest, shall we say. So when I say that, I mean there's a lot of the hair metal bands, a lot of the more commercial MTV metal that's coming in. Thrash metal is very healthy, but Music Phonations set up a subsidiary label called Under One Flag, where they signed all their big thrash outfits too. So within this last 20, there's a little bit more sort of AOR, some hair metal, and even a little bit of doom actually, which is unusual for Music Phonations. But enough rambling, let's jump in. So the first one I have between 81 and 100 is number 83, and that's a compilation, and that's this Music Phonations presents Nightmare on Carnaby Street. Here you can see the lineup. As usual, Music Phonations collections generally cover tracks from albums in the back catalogue, recent ones in the back catalogue. So this is, as I say, Music Phonations 83. So we've got some Exodus, Heathen, Hellion, Agent Steel, Wild Dogs, Zoetrope, Hellion, Lars Rocket, Q5, Rio, Tiger Tails and Road Mail, and then some Striper, Michael Furlong, Creek, and Tiger Tails right at the end. It's a double album, and gatefold, and these are all the albums that the songs come from. Don't think there's anything particularly special about the label. No, it's the standard Swayze label. Nothing fancy. Keen-eyed amongst you will know that the address at the bottom here for Music Phonations has changed from 8 Carnaby Street. It is now 102 Belsize Lane, London. So clearly they were on the up and up, and moved to swanky new offices in London. Purely speculation, I have no idea whatsoever. 84. We have Atomic Arena by Barren Cross. Now Barren Cross were, and maybe still are, who knows, a Christian metal band. Now this is more of a metal band that are Christian than a bunch of people who had to be Christian that wanted to try and form a band. This is proper heavy metal. It's very Iron Maiden, I guess, influenced. It's quite hard hitting as well. I mean, it's not the Sunday school Christian metal music you'd get from Striper, where everything's just praising. It's the subjects of the songs are gritty, maybe a little bit controversial, but it's just a really good metal album. Again, Swayze label. I guess it's more akin to Saint than Striper. In here as well is came with a nice merch letter, and what struck me was not once in here. I mean, it mentions they're an exciting young band from Los Angeles. Debut album on Music Phonations promises to establish them as a mainstay in the heavy metal scene. Already considered one of the top up-and-coming acts. They've made their presence known in metal. Former guitarist Ray Parris, drummer Steve Whitaker, while in high school in 81. Goes to the other members of the band. They soon gained a large enough following to merit a self-financed release of 6-song mini-album titled Believe. Press to Believe, Sold Like Wildfire, and 3 newly recorded tracks, Ready to Believe, are re-released as Rock for the King. Now it goes on about what an amazing band they are. They're often compared to Iron Maiden and other classic metal heroes. Deliver it with a punch, blazing musical style. Not once does it say they're a Christian metal band, and I did wonder whether they were a Christian band that didn't necessarily market themselves as that. And I had a chat on Facebook some time ago with Scott Waters. He said no, they were a fully fledged, we're a Christian band, and this is what we're all about. But not once does it mention it on the Music for Nations promo, and I can't help thinking that because Christian metal wasn't really a thing in the UK. Metal was metal, and it didn't really matter what you were singing about. However, if you did market yourself as a Christian band, then you probably wouldn't do as well, and that's just the way the UK was. It just wasn't a big thing, and heavy metal being kind of anti-disestablishment, God, I could say that. People probably wouldn't have wanted something that was associated with the church anyway. But as I say, this is a really, really good album, and I thoroughly recommend it. We're going to skip forward now. I have nothing else in the AT, so I'm missing bands like Impalatori, King Cobra, Exodus. We're going to jump forward to Music for Nations 92. So we're in 1989 now, and this happens to be another Christian metal band actually called Shout In Your Face. Another band to use In Your Face based on their in conjunction with their band name. Not quite as hilarious as Kingdom Come, but there we go. Now these guys look a little bit more, especially this chap here looks a little bit more like he would be more at home in Adam and the Ants, but this is actually a pretty good album. I was really impressed with it. Now I got this as VCLT from the Rock Scout in 2018. There's the band. I think Ken Tamplin is the mainstay of the band. And there's one song on here where they've got a ton of guest soloists. It's actually the title track, In Your Face. If you see here, this long list here, and it's probably not going to come out very well, but this is a list of all the guitarists that do solos and the time at which they're doing the solo and duration. And as well as it being Ken Tamplin and Chuck King, the other soloists involved are shown across the bottom here. So we've got Marty Friedman, Megadeth, Michelangelo, Lanny Cordola, Randy Hansen, and Joey Price. But yeah, this is pretty good. I mean, the lyrics are clearly of a Christian nature. The little write-up here as well. But again, to me, this is so much better than the stuff that Stryper was doing. Now, I know a lot of you massive Stryper fans out there. They've never really clicked with me, Stryper. I always thought they were a little bit too sickly sweet. But bands like Shout, very different from Barren Cross. Barren Cross are more sort of straight up heavy metal. These are a little bit more on the hair metal side. But yeah, there we go. Shout In Your Face. What do we have next? So we're going to skip 93 and we're going to go on to 94, which is a self-titled album by Jet Red. Now this is more sort of hard rock. It's a bit sort of Bon Jovi in places. We've got the MFN94 at the top. 4 Police hard rock. This is quite an upbeat album. It's really, really enjoyed it. I thought it would be... I don't think I would get to grips with it, but it's pretty good. It comes with a nice inner sleeve, perfect condition. Jet Red, and there's a nice picture of the band. Definitely worth checking out if you've not heard of Jet Red. 95, we go for a Doom offering, which is really unusual for Music for Nations. I think this is the only one certainly within the first 100. But it's a big release. This is Candlemass's Tales of Creation. Now, sort of Candlemass are the Swedish doom mongerers. This is from 1989. I think this is their 4th studio album. It's all I have from Candlemass, and this I can see the condition is not fantastic. But believe it or not, it still cost me £15 to get this. But had the condition been a lot better, I mean, it's good enough for me. The condition of the record's really good. It's just the cover's quite scuffed up. But had the cover been even VG plus, the album probably would have been out of my price range. So it was more than I would like to spend on an album, certainly with a cover in this condition. But I couldn't let it go because I didn't know if I'd ever see it again at such a good price. So lyrics inside, and the music information's down in the bottom left-hand corner. So Candlemass, yeah, a good bit of classic doom metal on the music information's label. Number 96, a band from my hometown where I grew up, of Cardiff in South Wales. This is the second album from Tiger Tails, called Berserk, in 1989. Now, out of all the releases I've got on Music for Nations, this one is the one that looks like they've put the most money into. The printing and the picture is God, we didn't have high definition in the 80s, did we? But it's kind of like, it's high definition. It's a really clear artwork. It's a really well produced. It's on really heavy cardboard stock. What a lovely picture. So now these are Tiger Tails, clearly in the hair metal category, and I was not a fan of hair metal for many years. In fact, 2018, last year, is the first year that I've really kind of dipped my toes in, my feet in quite deep actually, and I'm starting to appreciate there are actually some really good albums out there. Now this is it's not really Poison, and some of the it's quite raw. There's almost like a Ramones influence, certainly to the first album. Now this is their second album, and I think I may even prefer this one slightly more. This could also break the world record for the number of times the band credit themselves on here. So we have on the back the names Kim Hooker, Pepsi Tate, Jay Pepper, and Ace Fincham. They also list their names up here to talk about all titles. Of course, all the S's are replaced by Z's because they're Tiger Tails. But yeah, they list themselves here as the songwriters. And then inside, they also list their names here. And then just for good measure, in case you haven't seen that already, here's the inner sleeve. Again, really well done, really well produced cover. But on this side, they've got credits at the top. And one thing, the classic thing, and I know John Bitbot Boom would be interesting to know this, that the makeup artist is listed. There we go, makeup, Mary Ellen Lamb. You know you're a good hair metal band if you can list your makeup artist. But yeah, so this is. I was surprised how much I enjoyed Tiger Tails. Now, there I say they're a band from my hometown. I had probably just about left Cardiff and moved on. I went to college in Liverpool around '89, so I missed out on these guys being a hometown band. But they are, and there we go. So Tiger Tails, Berserk, really good album. Just check it out if you've not heard it. So that was 96. We're going to jump forward to 99, and this is another album I got as VCLT, this time from Clarkavision, and it is Warp Drive, Gimme Gimme. Again, it falls within the hair metal category. Here we have Music for Nations, number 99. The mainstay of the band is this guy, Mark Woprell, I'm not quite sure how you pronounce that. He kind of writes all the songs on here. Now, he was also in Blackfoot in the 90s, but so were about 100 other people. Now, Mark produces most of the songs, but there's a few down here that have asterisks. They were actually produced by Rick Medlock of Blackfoot fame. So keeping it in the family. We have a nice inner sleeve here. Actually, one thing I didn't show on that Tiger Tails, and this is really unusual, was occasionally the labels will have, they're generally the stock label. They may have the band's name in the correct font, and it does here for Tiger Tails and Berserk. But very unusually, as I said, they put a bit more money into this. They actually have a custom label on the back with the album cover. Forgot to say that, so that's another unusual trait about Berserk on Music for Nations. But we're at the end of the journey. We're up to Music for Nations 100. And that happens to be another album, which I already owned a copy of this, but I've got 2 copies of this, which is rather unfortunate because it is the second copy I had, again, from Clarkovision, so thanks very much again for that, Bev. But this is Drive, She Said, and it is probably, without doubt, one of the worst records I have in my record collection. It's these 2 guys here, which are Al Fritsch and Mark Mangold. It's very, very wet. Very, very wet indeed. Uninspiring. It was a struggle to actually get up and put side 2 on the other day, and it was the second time I listened through. I don't recall it being as bad first time, but I probably wasn't really paying attention to it. But they have lyrics and sleeve, and I think there's a misprint on here as well on that track A3. Yeah, track A3 isn't. It says "Don't you know what love is," but on the sleeve it just says "Don't you know." So not the biggest mistake they could have made. Certainly not a bigger mistake than actually writing the music and putting it on the album in the first place. But there we go. It's. I did say I was going to try and collect as many from the top first 100 as I could, and Drive, She Said, is on it, so it has to be there for now. But there we go. It's not really a good album. Now, when I first started out on this whole thing about the top 100, I was under the impression that MFN 1 to 100 just covered the whole 80s catalogue. But I've since found out, thanks to Discogs, that because when I looked at it, MFN 101 was 1990, so I thought that's it. But it turned out that 103, 104, 105 were all 89 as well. So there are some others outside of 1990. So there must have been some where they signed them up earlier and they released them later. I don't quite know how the music industry works, but I'm still going to look out for Music for Nations items. There's some really big albums like Metallica, Exciter, Exodus, that a lot earlier in the catalogue that I definitely want to pick up just because they're great albums and not because they're on the Music for Nation label, but I do want to pick them up on the Music for Nation label. But that's it. Thanks if you've stuck with me through these 5 episodes. It's been fun. It was certainly for me going through and re-listening to all these albums again. As and when I pick any more up in the future, I'll probably do follow-on videos and stick them all in the same playlist. So if you're new to the channel, you can catch up and see how the progress goes. But thanks for watching, and for all of you doing dry January this month, good luck. Cheers.